Welcome back, fam, to another video on this nodal series. Here we are. The reason why is because the more that I'm studying, the more I'm seeing that this node, honey, baby, that node just might be the key to everything. It might just be the key to everything that we're talking about and thinking about and doing. Today, we're going to be discussing the North Node in Leo. I'm going to be going through all the fixed signs first. So I did Scorpio, now I'm doing Leo. Then I'll probably do Aquarius and then Taurus. So we're going to do all the fixed first. The person we're talking about today is no other than Malcolm X. I mean, listen, if we're going to talk about somebody who stands out, somebody that's memorable, somebody that shook up the fucking world, we're going to think about Malcolm X for sure. Someone who made sure that the world saw him, point blank, period. So I was reading and doing some research on Malcolm, and I definitely know some of his life, but not all of his life, obviously. And now opening his natal chart, I mean, it's just extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. That South Node in Aquarius is in his first house. So South Node in the first house is you got to let go of your personal issues. It's not just about you. You have to think outside of yourself. You have to, with the North Node in the seventh house, become aware of other people and what they have going on in their lives. It's not about being wrapped up in your own world and in your own way of, for him, and South Node is in Aquarius, is his style of detaching, his style of being aloof or cold, or knowing that he's very independent and he's very strong. He comes from literally a background of being a revolutionary, being the person who shakes the room up. That's what Uranus energy is all about. Aquarius energy is about, it's an air sign, it's fixed. So this is a focused person who has a lot of ideas, concepts, and progressive ways to change society. Aquarius is all about progressing and how can we collaborate and share and make things better for everyone. It's not about your fucking feelings. It's about what's best for everyone. And Aquarius also is, the black sheep, the person who rebels. It is the rebel sign. It's how we rebel in our own lives too, wherever your Uranus placement is. And his south node in Aquarius in the first house basically means like he was probably protesting on the street, yelling, doing all those kind of things in a past life. If you guys believe in that kind of stuff, meaning that he is used to organizing and being a part of groups and really showing up for the community and the collective. That's what he's used to doing. However, with that North Node in Leo, baby, okay, he had a different journey. And we'll talk about that in a second. So let's talk about his South Node in Aquarius for a moment. It's in his first house. He actually spent a lot of his adolescence living in a lot of foster homes. After his mother was hospitalized and his father died from a supposed car accident, but some people believe that his father was murdered. And, his son is at that 28th degree, of Taurus. And his son is squaring Neptune. So that can have a lot to do with his own assassination as well as anything to do with his father's passing, his father's death. In addition, with that square, there's a tension and a frustration and a call to action to integrate spirituality into your life. And for him, it was very deep and personal because it's in the 8th house. His Neptune is in Leo. In the 8th house, his North Node is in the 7th house and also in Leo. So he has both of these energies really calling for his attention. And he has a 5th house sun, and it's conjunct his Venus in Gemini. Now, Venus is what you're going to be appreciated for. It's your love language, is what you love to do. And Gemini is talking, communicating, writing. He was known to be a great communicator, gave many countless speeches in front of big crowds. He was able to move and heal people with his words and shake them up. He has Uranus cusping his third house with Pisces on that cusp, reaching far and wide, reaching all kinds of people. And what held him back, his South Node in Aquarius, was only his rigid point of view, only seeing things his way and not having any kind of personalized way of interacting with people. And after a while, if you're too much in the crowd and you don't see people for one-on-one, and a detachment comes in, and a lack of emotions and a lack of flow of the emotional space and connection, and that spirituality is lost, because now it's all about rationalizing and intellectual property. It's not about spiritual wellness or anything of those things. So he comes from a place of, he's a Capricorn rising, moon in Aries, Taurus sun. His moon is at the 29th degree, so that's already a hero degree. He has to get something major done in this lifetime. He has to pioneer something. It's his last lifetime being an Aries moon, being that leader, having that energy, that drive, that perseverance, that energy, that drive, and having that risk taking and that bravery, that gusto to really get out there and stand. So that 29th degree is going to push him into a lot of circumstances of quick changes. And his sun is at the 28th degree, so it's a very similar energy, and this is a Cancer degree. So very much focused on his own childhood, what he had, what he didn't have, what he lacked, what he didn't lack, things like that, how his childhood was, his needs, his resources, things like that. And that's what was really important. He wanted Black people to get what they were owed at birth, Sun in Taurus in the 5th house, what they were owed as children, their childhood, their respective way to express themselves freely, Venus and Gemini. And that South Node in Aquarius really had him go through a lot of sudden changes, a lot of great awakenings throughout his entire life. He actually, at a point, was in school to become a lawyer, and then his white teacher told him that he'll never have the power to become a lawyer, so that deterred him, right? So he was alienated. His passion was doused down by a teacher of his, which is, in the 9th house, he has Virgo there, which is, he takes education, he's very critical of it, meaning he's also very, very smart, and again, his Venus is in Gemini, so he's very attached to his mind, he's attached to his thoughts, his concepts. So Gemini is fickle, it needs some stabilization, and thankfully he has his sun there conjuncting it, stabilizing his ideas and his thoughts after a while so he could speak freely. But in his youth, right, he was used to going with the crowd and doing what was convenient for everybody else and sharing everybody else's ideals and allowing that criticism to really mess with his self-worth, because he has that Mercury conjunct his moon, conjunct Chiron in Taurus. Although his Chiron is in Aries, which hurts his identity. Chiron is in the 3rd house, so it hurts his mind. It hurts his expression, the way that he expressed himself. So that's what will make him want to drop out of school. And that's what a lot of people don't know about Malcolm, or many Black people in general. They just think that Black people are these quote unquote animals and that we're just criminals because of that's what we want to do. Like, we come out the womb ready to fuck shit up. Like, no, that's not it. It's a lot of times there are people who oppress our dreams, you know what I'm saying? And he repressed his dream of doing what? Of law, of understanding the law, which is his passion. his passion, which is in the seventh house. The seventh house is the traditional house of Libra. That represents the law. It represents justice. It represents fairness. So for him, that's what he really was all about at, his whole life. And he has, squares there from Saturn. So he's hard on himself. Anytime there's a delay or any kind of distraction or, slow down of his growth, he can become very hard, very rigid, very that Capricorn, reserved, quiet, calm, not saying anything, not emoting, right? But his North Node is sextiling his Venus, meaning that there's an opportunity for him to create self-love and self-worth and to grow his love for his words and expressing his thoughts objectively. And it will, solidify who he is, and it will make his roar as a lion bigger. Like when I think of the South Node in Aquarius, North Node in Leo, I think of like little Simba, when he was like, roar. And then after a while, he was like, roar. And that's what essentially it is. Malcolm went through several transformations, several breakthroughs in his life. He went from going to school to understand law to literally selling drugs, and participating in underground 8th house affairs. All right. 8th house is 12th house affairs. 8th house. He has Neptune in the 8th house. So this is where the larceny comes in, the theft, right? But it was purely for survival, purely so he can live. And he also, I was reading, and I'm going to make sure that I attach the article at the bottom, but he also was summoned to World War II, okay? And he basically faked like he was mentally ill. And that's that Neptune in Leo, making him a great actor, right? A person who can kind of create whatever image that they want. And him having Pisces on the 3rd, again, you believe whatever he's going to say. All right. And yeah, he definitely was making money through drug dealing, gambling, racketeering, robbery, and pimping. And with that Venus in Gemini, there are rumors that Malcolm had sex with other men, usually to get some money, because that's that sextile opportunity, Venus, right? And his Leo sextiling. He had an opportunity to get money and things like that. And of course, some people rejected that, but I'm saying with Venus and Gemini, a lot of times, that is curiosity, to say the least. Venus and Gemini is curiosity, to say the least. So with his North Node, and again, remember he has a South Node in Aquarius, it reinforces his curiosity. A lot of times air signs and mutable signs are the ones that are more sexually open, more sexually curious than, maybe a fixed sign would be. Cardinal sign will probably do it for fun. Mutable signs are more like, yes, this is what I like. I like to go with the flow. That's essentially what that energy is. So, that's reinforced with his Aquarius South Node, and just how interesting and how many breakthroughs he went through with his self-awareness. His South Node is trining his Venus. So his, ability to connect with different groups and exchange ideas and exchange all kinds of information, even love information, really helped develop his own sense of self and who he was, and created self-awareness of his own power and passion. With that Leo North Node, he was also he was friends with John Elroy Sanford, and John Elroy Sanford's nickname was Chicago Red, and Malcolm's nickname was Detroit Red. And Sanford is also known as Red Fox. So, that Detroit Red, Leo, Red, the energy, all that other stuff. Also, Chiron and Aries is just reinforcing that kind of red energy in there, right? Also reinforcing his wit, his ability to crack a joke, and his different kind of sense of humor, definitely. So then he also, with his Leo North Node, he became, okay, so North Node in the seventh house is like your friends become your enemies. People close to you become your enemies because they liked who you used to be. And once you start standing out for yourself, or you start standing up for the right thing, right? Seventh house things, justice, fairness, they could definitely become your own enemies. And Malcolm went through a time where he was close with the Nation of Islam. And because of Elijah Muhammad's deceitful past, with him engaging with underage teenage girls and having children with them, Malcolm left. You know what I'm saying? And kind of separated himself. South Node in Aquarius, he's used to that. He knows how to isolate himself. He knows how to be independent. He separated himself from that because his North Node in Leo wanted to, protect children. Sun in the fifth house, definitely protect. Definitely very very adamant about childhood. Venus in the fifth house, and understanding how necessary a childhood is, and how much that really will either help make or break your identity and your strength in the world and your power in the world. So he also has Pluto and Mars in the seventh house. I mean, he has a lot of, open enemies type of thing, and people that he probably really cared about, or he thought he had a close relationship with them. So that Leo North Node made him have to stand up for what's right, point blank, period. I'm standing up for what I believe is right. I don't care what you guys think. I don't care if you guys think it hurts the organization. I'm going to stand up for what's right because I know how to see people as individuals. The organization is not an individual. People inside of the organization is what makes up the organization. And if those individuals do not, fall in line with those Aquarius type rules, or what everybody in the group needs, then you need to be exiled. And he had that North Node in Leo courage, the boldness, the brashness, the bravado, the ability to detach, the ability to go out on the stage and stand up for what's right. And it was absolutely at risk to his life because he was killed, and he went through so many transformations through him for his own life to find what he feels is right and what he wants to stand up for in the world. So there's so much more that I would love to say about his chart. Malcolm X is an extremely interesting individual. Yeah, and I would definitely love to see what you guys thought about this chart reading and his North Node placement, and him having to use his sun energy of being stubborn, understanding his self-worth, because the fifth house is all about self-worth. And Taurus, it takes time to develop, but really investing in what is worth it to you as an individual. It's all about what he thought. He had to get away from groupthink. He had to get away from, agreeing with everyone, and he needed to agree for himself, and he needed to tell other people because North Node is in the seventh house, and he needed to tell them loud and through speeches. And yeah, what a very interesting journey that this man has had just through the nodes. I will talk to you guys on the next one. Ciao.